Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Shona Robinson seems to have her knickers in a twist over the fact that there's a couple of councils that haven't bowed, kowtowed, kissed the ring and bent the knee in terms of freezing council tax. And she has been hard at it, trying to get them to fall in line. Now, one of them, it seems, may well kowtow, may well follow the party line and, do this council tax freeze. The other one, maybe not so much, but they are exploring possibilities that may be available. Just so Humza Yousaf can stand there and say, hey, look, I'm all powerful. I said that this would happen and this would happen. It doesn't make him look all powerful at all. Of course, it just makes him look like an even bigger dick than he has previously. He really is a massive bell end, isn't he? But we will take a look at this because it is one of those things that we need to talk about. And that is the continual push for obedience from people who are under no obligation to obey, because it sticks in the craw of the SNP that people have the right to say no. Here goes. So there we are. SNP government confident of breakthrough in council tax freeze with rebel town halls. He calls them rebel town halls. We call them those town halls with enough balls to stand up, look Humza in the eye and say no. And they really don't like that, do they? A source close to the talks believes at least one of the two holdouts is considering a U-turn on a freeze. Now, if I was the head of one of these councils, I'd say, look, we'll freeze it. Not a problem. Absolutely, we'll freeze it. Here's the thing. We want this amount of rise, you see. This is what we're going to put up. So if you fund that in total and pony up before we go, then we'll freeze it. Otherwise, the ball's in your court, off you go. And leave him to it. He won't do it, of course. And so you just put the council tax up. And it will embarrass him, humiliate him. And that's always a good thing. But of course, he can't be seen to lose. He can't be seen to back down. He can't be seen to U-turn. Even though he U-turns all the bloody time. Anyway, Humza Yousaf is pushing for a clean sweep of local authorities freezing the council tax after talks with rebel town halls. The SNP government has tabled proposals to persuade two rebel councils to U-turn on their opposition to a freeze. Well, like I say, unless he's got the cash, that ain't going to happen. The First Minister angered councils when he backed a national freeze without consultation at the SNP conference last year. And in doing so, he broke the Verity House agreement that he signed only a few weeks prior to that. So there's pictures of him sitting there. Oh, look at me signing with a woman from Kosovo. Look at me. We're entering this new era of agreement. We're wonderful. We're great. We're great. And then like 2 weeks later, literally, bang. Oh, we broke it. Well, it doesn't matter. It's us. We're more important than you. I needed something desperately bad for my speech. And boy, did I come up with something desperately bad. Anyway, his deputy, Shona Robinson, was tasked with getting a deal over the line. Shona Robinson doing anything. Ridiculous. Anyway, tasked with getting a deal over the line and offered councils a share, a tiny amount of money. Tiny amount of money. Nowhere near what they needed if they played ball. They needed about, across the whole of Scotland, about £1 billion. She's offering them 200 million. Nowhere near enough. 2 out of the 32 councils, Argyll and Bute and Inverclyde, then defied the government by rejecting the freeze because they need the money. Not the little pittance, not the crumbs off the table that Shona Robinson said, that will be enough for the likes of you. We don't want to close things down. We don't want to fire people. We need to provide services. There are needy people who need the services. And that's it. Despite the standoff, talks have taken place with two councils about reversing their decisions. A senior source said there's confidence in government circles that Argyll and Bute will back a freeze, but Inverclyde, they say, is more complex. Now, we know Inverclyde, Labour-run council. They've got no affiliation with the SNP. The SNP will sit there, and they will. I suspect the playbook for the SNP will be: look, come the election, it'll be like, we tried to freeze council tax. Labour said no, and of course Labour just come around and said the SNP tried to cut services, and we said no. So who's going to win that one? It's a battle of who did what to whom when. Stephen McCabe, the Labour leader of Inverclyde Council, tabled a plan which would see the rise going ahead, but offset by rebates. This would effectively amount to a freeze and would be presented by the government as a win. But it is believed the government would back the plan on condition Inverclyde reduces council tax by 8.2% next year. Well, they can say that and then still put it up anyway. There's no legal obligation. An insider said there is still some way to go politically, and the next move would have to be made by the council. Council don't have to make a move. Council just sit there and go, nope. Nope. Nope, don't have to move. You come up with a better idea. What the government going to do? Anyway, Inverclyde and Renfrewshire West is a key target for Labour at the Westminster election, and the SNP would weaponise a council tax rise, but so would Labour. Labour just have to say, if we implemented that rise that freeze that they wanted, services would be cut, people would be left needing, vulnerable would be even more vulnerable. We took the decision to save the vulnerable in our society because we care about them. The SNP do not. Labour win. SNP strategists argue a freeze is popular. It's not, despite massive criticism from anti-poverty groups who says it favours the wealthy. That's the whole plan. Robinson said, I continue to engage positively with the deputy leader of Argyll and Bute following a recent meeting to discuss the council's particular circumstances. Them circumstances being they're skint and they need money. This followed confirmation of the 62.7 million that was previously contingent to the outcome of the spring budget, which will then, if it isn't given over to Inverclyde, will result immediately in court action. Discussions will continue to resolve any outstanding issues. She said, I was disappointed that talks with Inverclyde Council were less productive. However, constructive engagement continues with a view to finding a viable solution. Inverclyde, we've got the solution. We need this much money. You aren't giving it. We're putting the council tax up. If you want to give us some money, we'll put the council tax up less. But we need this money. End of story. And then she goes on and she talks some bollocks about, decisions this, decisions that, and blah, blah, blah. Basically, she's got into a problem where she hasn't got a solution because she hasn't got the money. And she's in that problem because the Brains Trust, had a really shitty speech at conference, panicked and said, I know. And you can almost see the light bulb, bing, going off above his head as he came up with this bright idea to break the Verity House agreement, to throw councils into complete disarray, unplanned, unthought out, undiscussed. Nobody knew because he is, well, I said at the beginning, he's a bell end. I'm coming up. We all know things about Humza Yousaf. Obviously, he's racist. He's dangerous. He's not a leader. He's indecisive. He's a failure. But above all, of course, he's stupid. He's a very stupid man. He doesn't see the consequences of his actions. And this is the consequences of his actions. And without all the discussions in advance, and without the planning, without having the funding in place, he is going to look like an absolute failure. This is going to be humiliating. Because these two councils, whilst they're talking to them, it's all very fine and pleasant. But tick-tock, the clock's running out. They have to make the decision. And I don't see Inverclyde making a decision anytime soon. With Shona Robinson saying, it's going to be down to the council to decide. Really? You're not going to come back with a better offer? I think pretty much Inverclyde will say no. And then that'll be it. And it won't be universal. Humza Yousaf looks like what he is. A very weak man. A very inefficient, insufficient, and totally useless leader. Thanks very much for listening. I'll finish there, round off, and we will speak soon. Bye.